Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Professor Anime, and welcome back to yet again another Ancient Magus Bride episode review. Today we will be talking about episode 3 of the Ancient Magus Bride. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So I gotta say, when it came down to this episode of the Ancient Magus Bride, the meaning behind this episode was just amazing. But not only was the meaning behind it very, interesting, but just the sheer amount, of scenery and atmosphere that this episode provided, it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know if it was just me, but to me, when I was watching this episode, I really got some serious The Land Before Time vibes while watching this episode of the Ancient Magus Bride. I mean, I know that the movie, was about dinosaurs and whatnot, while in this episode, it's called The Land of Dragons, but I mean, there was definitely some similarities in which I got serious vibes from the two of them, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if anybody remembers The Land Before Time. It was a really old cartoon movie back in the day, but yo, I had a bit of nostalgia, I'm not gonna lie, just kind of remembering that movie. When it comes down to the meaning of this episode, as to, what this episode was really about, it was really about showing that Chisei needs to hold on and to carry on with life despite the obstacles and suffering that she has, had throughout her life. The meaning of this episode can be summarized within one phrase, and that is what the old dragon tells Chisei, and that is that the living should not envy the dead. Now, I'm not really sure if the Ancient Magus Bride, kind of made up that phrase, because I do believe that that phrase has been stated before somewhere. I just can't remember where it was from, but nonetheless, it's basically telling Chisei that you should not give up on life. You have so much to live for, and to simply just throw away your life away, which is something that Chisei honestly probably has considered, just due to the life that she has, had, and regarding her mother. I mean, she's kind of had a depressing lifestyle. And I mean, it's true. At the end of the day, despite how much, suffering you go through in life, you should simply not just throw your life away and take the easy way out. The problem that most people face to this day when it comes to suffering and depression is overcoming the obstacles that they have faced from the past. But the thing is, suffering is the next evolution, if you will, to human, actualization. To the next step of becoming, better than the previous self. If you can overcome those obstacles in life, no matter how much you suffer from them, you're going to become a stronger individual. And this is what I found really cool about the episode. I mean, because we know that Chisei has had a rough life, and she has probably considered suicide just like her mother, but we don't want her as the main character to fall under the same path as her mother. So, to see, that, a stranger, a dragon, someone that Chisei never knew, give her a little bit insight onto, the way of living, so to speak, I thought that was really cool. And, it's something that, most shows don't really do well. I will say that. Because most shows, with certain characters who live with a, certain, obstacle that seems to always, hinder them, they usually overcome that obstacle relatively quickly. Like that, usually. And in some anime, we have seen that as well. And usually they get over that obstacle, not throughout the journey, but more so within an episode or two. Stuff like that. So to see that, when it comes down to how the Ancient Magus Bride is, because it is a very character-driven story, if you guys haven't seen that out. The fantasy aspect is just the icing on the cake. But to see that this is a very character-driven story that is handling Chisei's,
you know, whole transformation to that point to where she can actually, you know, have confidence in herself, to be a more happy person, you know, that is something that I really do appreciate of the Ancient Magus Bride. And hopefully we do get to that point. But as anyone who deals with depression, it's definitely gonna take some time to get to that point.
Another thing that I liked about the episode is that when we kind of like opened up with this episode, it kind of backtracked to the point into which, you know, Chisei was captured by the dragon that scooped her up. You know, I liked how it backtracked to that point, to be honest, because it did show a little bit more of when Elias and Chisei went on the travel. Like, they were in Iceland, I believe, and that is when Chisei got scooped up by the dragon. But, you know, from what we saw in last week's episode, the only gripe that I had with it was just on the transitioning to the point in which Chisei gets scooped up by that dragon, because we all know that they just kind of ended it off with that episode, you know, just for the sake of having a cliffhanger for this episode. So to see that we got just a little bit more, you know, I guess, scenes regarding what led to that point, I thought that was very good. It wasn't necessarily a recap, but it was more so just adding in as to what happened before everything led to that point. So I liked it, to be honest, but probably there'll be some people at, you know, in the comments, you know, disagreeing with me on that, but I personally like that. And speaking about the dragons, we also learn that Elias is apparently friends with the dragon master, if you will, who, you know, tamed the dragons and who, you know, took Chisei hostage necessarily and brought her to the land of dragons. Now, apparently, Elias and the Dragon Master, if you will, forget his name, Lillian or something like that. Anyway, hopefully I got his name right, but we do learn that apparently Elias and him are in fact friends. They are acquaintances of each other, so all in all, this dude wasn't simply just, you know, a bad guy, but that isn't to say that there are other people out there who are, you know, enemies
of Elias, as well as people who want to take Chisei because, you know, she is a slay beggy.
And to also finish off this review, what we also learned about this episode, which we could possibly see later down the line with the Ancient Magus Bride, is that as of right now, we know that Chisei isn't really that well versed when it comes to, you know, being a mage, using magic. She doesn't really seem like she can control her power. Her shine, if you will, is very strong, but in terms of her controlling that power, she has really no idea on how to control that necessarily. And that's kind of like what we saw in episode 2. You know, it was hard for her to even, like, control it. It seemed like it just, you know, went everywhere. So once Elias finally, you know, teaches her on how to use magic and whatnot, we will see developments throughout Chisei's character on how to handle that magic. And also there will be a point in which, you know, as a magic user, she is going to have to use a wand. And we could actually have Chisei go back to the land of dragons, you know, what we saw in this episode, and pick the bark off the tree of the old dragon that passed away at the end of this episode, and make a wand out of it. So I really like how, you know, we possibly will see that. Just on how, like, everything within this episode, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the meaning behind it. I enjoyed the characters that were introduced. I mean, it was cute. It was. The atmosphere was great, and it did give a little bit of progression towards Chisei's character, even if it was very slightly, you know, but I like the way on how this anime is handling Chisei's character, as well as, you know, the pacing of the series goes. I really, really do enjoy it. So with that said, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Ancient Magus Bride. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Hit that red subscribe button down below if you want to see more content from me on the channel. And as well, if you are interested, if you want to, like, you know, stalk me and all that shit, click the link in the description down below to follow me on Twitter, because that would be awesome. Anyways, guys, with that said, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.